as well. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, hello. This is the first edition of what is now called Champion of the Board. Originally it was called King or Queen of the Board, but we actually had a couple different people from the community reach out and suggest a name change. And the IAF actually thought that Champion of the Board was a better name. Sorry about this. Give me one moment. So yeah, this is going to be exciting. Basically, what happens is, oh, we have a follow. Thank you for the follow. I can't see. Oh, there we go. 08 Bird 2021. Sorry if I butchered that. Anyways, basically how this is going to work is the winner of this tournament will go on to face Pinni7, who is the current champion of the board. Go on face Pinni7. And they'll play a 10-game match. The winner of that 10-game match. So basically, it will go the best of 10. If it's a 5-5 tie, then they play another 2 games. And if it's still a tie or a draw after those 2 games, then the champion remains champion. So Pinni7 would remain the champion. And other than that, yeah, so basically the winner today will go on to play Pinni7 sometime next week, which I will also be streaming and commentating. And yeah, so that's going to be a really exciting game. I'm really excited for today. We've got 25 people in the arena so far, and we've got AGMs galore, titled players galore. The whole top page is filled with 2,000 players, and even down into the second page and third page, we still have like really good players. So players to look out for, I'll mention on the first game. neversmartenough has been part of the community for a very long time. Ohm's very good in fast time controls, so maybe 1+2 will benefit more than say 2+5. I'm pretty sure Sequela has been not necessarily in this anti-chess community, but has played things like anti-chess and loser chess for a very long time, so very competent player. Firebatprime has been around probably since before I was born. And AGM as well, so amazing player. Jakob Dieger, also another AGM, and as we go down the list, like you just see name after name that are all they're all amazing players. Like as I said, we got 2,000 players from position 12 all the way up. Oh, I really need to get a second monitor. I actually just built this computer so that I could stream, but I don't have a second monitor yet. So I'm basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be commentating today, whatever the top games are. And so the first game, so we have 2 berserks, which is probably what you're going to have to do in this tournament. We immediately see this king taking here, classic Ohm defense, and it looks really crazy, but these are very straightforward lines. I know it looks mad right now, but okay, so we have the pawn blocking, knight comes out, and this is yeah, this is definitely winning for white now. You just need to bring the rook out, swing it, preventing rook promotion. Yeah, this prevents rook promotion because you can have your knight down here. So after king promotion, you're probably going to want to push this pawn in some way. Continue pushing the pawn. You got lots of time. neversmartenough has more than enough time here. And probably the idea this knight moves, then the king can't advance over here because then you have these setups. In this case, you got a couple decisions. If you push the pawn, then you might see something like this, take, and then the recapture. But in this position, neversmartenough doesn't want to do that. Force the king to come up and sacrifice up here if possible. That will give this pawn promoting before this pawn. So now I think the idea, sack the knight, give away the pawn, then it's very easy to give away this king and this rook. And so moving the king away just sort of forces, doesn't allow those to happen, but push the pawn anyways, assuming we're going to see king moving out of the way here. A very fast-paced game. I mean, you have to play fast. Pushing the pawn, probably rook g4 maybe. Or actually, that doesn't prevent rook promotion. That's very much my fault. Bishop promotion is really nice actually because you can't win by consecutive sacrifices. You're gonna have to push the pawn. Just sacrifice the king, and then bishop like here or here is gonna win, or that works too because out of this you push the pawn. Oh, actually that doesn't work. White resigned, but there's actually a really fun move here because if you promote there to knight, that's actually an amazing move. So actually the resignation was was a blunder there, because after here, um, yeah, so if you don't give away the bishop, then you just promote to bishop and it's a draw. But if you push the pawn and then give away the bishop right here, um, then knight promotion, the king has to move away from this position. It's one of those weird exceptions. So if we go to the analysis board real quick, I know we're taking away from the tournament, but I'm just here to show you. After bishop a7, we turn on the analysis board. Yeah, it's a complete draw, because after c7, you can't give away the bishop. If you give away the bishop, then knight promotion, and the king has to move away somewhere, which means the knight comes back here. So if the king moves here, then obviously you just, no matter what, you just move the knight back. So that's actually such a fun move. I might put that in the chat. So yeah, that's wild game already. Anyways, let's check back. Let's go to Sequela versus Dragonissimo here. We've got neither of them berserked. We've sort of got a bishop versus rook race right here. It's hard for me to commentate immediately, but it looks to me that this is very good for white. If this take, then you can probably take down here. Otherwise, you just move the rook, and now this rook is going to have to capture several times. This is one way you could definitely do it. Maybe. Oh yeah, it is. And then you just move the rook back, or you do that and you push each pawn once. So a good game there. So yeah, that first game was still amazing. Never smart enough. Although that just shows that even the greatest players in the world can still blunder with 2 moves left. Let's find a game that's just starting here. Let's just go into this game. I'll showcase a different game. Dothi versus Sakshi. Probably setting up for several captures right here would be my assumption. Oh, I completely missed that as well. But after this pawn push, I still like this for white, probably because you can give away one of the rooks, and black doesn't have a king. You do have double knight, which can be pretty nice sometimes. Oh, but now just, yeah, a5, move the rook over, and then you can pretty much set up a million captures in a row. Oh shoot, my arrows. You can set up all these captures in a row. Here, take, here, take, there, take, there, take. Okay, so good game there. Let's go back to the tournament. So Ohm's currently in first. Kex is in the chat room, wishing everyone good luck. That's wonderful. So we have Ohm in first with a current streak of 5. Asvi in second with a streak of 4. But as you can see, there's just so many people. Like, it's going to be such equal matches. Let's take a look at this game. Asvi versus Ohm. Neither of them berserked again. So moving the king out of the way, obviously, that's you don't want to lose your king this early. So now 2 options are here and here. Yeah, I probably would have taken that piece as well, but the problem is, yeah, you can give away the bishop, but then after capture here, okay, so we have this capture. You'd probably have to give away the knight next. This looks very strong for white, I would say. You just have so many more major pieces. You can develop them, or I guess you can't develop there yet, but you can develop them. There's a nice setup for a capture here with the knight coming. This knight's already developed. As soon as you move your king, your rook's got free space to move on the back end. I also just realized that, oh wait, that's the wrong one. This is a little out of the way. There we go. But yeah, so Ohm getting lower on time. Asvi certainly in the lead right now. Ooh, but an interesting move here. A very nice intermediate, actually. I completely missed it. Because the point being is, after you take this piece, now white has to recapture another piece. And so, yeah, move the knight back, and then you can probably just push these pawns, and you're going to be fine. So you can, I'd personally play rook there, yeah. It's funny how all anti-chess players think the same that way, just because you want it to look cool or something like that. Um, so yeah, Ohm winning again. Firebatprime though, um, with a couple wins in a row. Um, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, but Alex Stin or Alex Stein or something like that. Been playing way more games than everyone else, so I guess that's one way to do it for sure. This game just started with Ohm and Glau2DK, who has been actually mentioned on my channel several times. You had the option to capture with king or bishop there, in my opinion. Um, you're probably gonna have to capture with queen now. Down here, and then after rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and then you take here with the rook, and then you have a couple options. Um, we'll see this play out in any case. And then you take the king. The problem with in this position is you can't take here, because after taking there, capture here, then your rook has to capture, pawn captures, and then your rook's hanging down here, so the only capture here is knight captures. We'll just see what Ohm does here. You're probably going to capture here next, but we'll see. You never know what happens. If this capture, then you definitely want to capture the rook, because there's going to be way more to take right here than there would be on this angle. And now this looks really good for white. Obviously, white has two major pieces. Can basically wait for this pawn to push, and then push this pawn. You're pretty much winning. Yeah, and then you got a couple options. You could go with this, and then, or you could just you move your bishop here, or there. That's a nice move as well. And then if this pawn moves, then you can set up like that. And if this pawn moved, then you could just give up your rook, or give up your bishop, recapture the rook, and then resack the rook. So good game. Back. So we're about 10 minutes in. Ohm's still undefeated. That game just started, but we've been watching Ohm for a while now. Let's check in on Dragonissimo, who has berserked this game. So, okay, so we have an interesting defense here. I think g4 is the move in this position, but Dragonissimo goes for c4, also good, just grabbing more space. G4, one thing it threatens, and certainly against players who wouldn't know the opening, you can threaten both taking the king very early, which is very threatening, or taking this pawn with the bishop, so basically you get a free king, because your opponent will push this pawn, so then they don't have to recapture the bishop, have to capture everything, so basically you just get a free king. Which Dragonissimo does just one move later. Recapture with the king, recapture with the queen, queen captures, bishop captures, just gaining more space over here, and now you've got the same position where you're attacking the king and attacking this pawn down here. So again, you move the pawn, lose the queen, and now the other problem is your bishop is very stuck at this moment. Oh, that's a really nice move. I like that move with the knight, because now you're threatening to give the piece up, push the pawn, and then you're just completely winning. So really, you can just move the knight back here, maybe push a4. Okay. Oh, but that's a poor move, because now you have to capture down here. You have to capture on b2. But even still in this position, black's just so cramped. Your rook doesn't have very many places to go. You can give it up, but then you just have to move your pieces eventually. This pawn you can move for now, but even still, you're very cramped. Stark move. You can even just develop the knight. That's what I would have done. Recapture with the king. And now, what does your opponent do? Now you just move your rook off of this file. Threaten h3. There you go. And now your pawns are completely stuck. There's nothing you can do about them. Interesting move here. Bishop e1. Okay, so basically, this is a nice. I actually really like this move. First of all, it allows your knight to come here. And now you can set up for this. The other thing it did was it just it didn't allow for black to push the pawns any further. Recapture the bishop, so there is a chance, especially with the increment over here. Very okay. So now you're going to give up the bishop, probably. Okay. Or that. That's okay. Tough one for Dragonissimo. Drew Kotov. I always find that I draw Kotov a lot. I don't know why. Can I increase the volume a little bit? I think there's a way for me to do... Oh, no. Okay, I guess I'll just bring my microphone closer to my face. There we go. There we go. So yeah. Drew Kotov. As I was just saying, I seem to draw Kotov a lot. That was actually my strategy. I don't often give away my complete strategies for my Antichess World Championship matches, but basically, and I think I mentioned this in my previous video, where I discussed my game versus Kotov, and you can go check it. It'll be on my YouTube channel. But I think my big strategy for my game against Kotov was I wasn't very familiar, and Kotov's amazing with c4, and I wasn't really familiar with one specific way of how to beat it, and so I just studied a super drawish line and tried to get as many draws as I could with the black pieces, because I was confident with the white pieces. Like, at this time against Kotov, I was like, and the openings that Kotov was playing, I was sort of like, okay, I think I can win the majority of these games. So for me, it was whenever I had the black pieces and Kotov would play c4, it was just okay, let's see how many draws I can get. And in that series, I think I won 4 games and drew 4 games. So we drew so many games. So I didn't think it was just me, but it looks like Kotov's drawing another person. Never smart enough. Berserks again. It still has so much time. It's very impressive to watch. So the question is e4 viable? And Never Smart Enough just plays h4 because there's probably no resolution here. Kotov brings in the knight. You got a couple options here. You can prepare to recapture the knight, but your knight also looks really nice on c3. Okay, so, and then this move, basically, if you capture here, then you recapture the king, or recapture the king, and the capture there, you just recapture with the knight, and it still looks good. But the problem is now, after knight d7, now you're threatening this, obviously, but the question is this much of a threat? Because after that takes, you have to move the rook, in which take, and then you take down here, take here, so it probably just resolves weirdly for Kotov. But anyways, the game's moving on. Never Smart Enough's down to 9 seconds, doesn't have any increment, so it's looking a little bit rough at this moment. Pushes the pawn, recaptures the knight. Okay, and now you got chances right here with something like knight c3, rook d1, maybe give up the rook somehow, and then give up the other rook right here, move the king back, push the pawn, and now you're winning. Oh, very well done by Never Smart Enough. I love that I was saying all the moves the same way. And firebatprime now undefeated and moving on very well. Currently at an ASGM norm, which would be pretty amazing. Let's check in one of the... Oh shoot, I should just keep one tab open if I can. And this line I actually really like for white. I used to play this so much. This comes from the double knight attack, I'm assuming. Yeah, double knight attack, and then bishop c8, which I also play, and c4, which I also play. This reminds me of the conversation that I had with someone a few days ago, which is like, if you had to play in certain time controls against yourself, what would you play? And this is definitely, I would say, up until... This isn't hyper though. In Blitz and Bullet, I would definitely play b6, which is the Liardet defense against e3. But if we go back here, if I were to play hyper against myself, I would probably play all the way up to here. But in this position, I'd probably play bishop d7. It's one of the only winning moves. After king, you have some options right here. The idea being you rather get rid of this knight, and if you develop the knight somehow, or you protect it with the bishop, then you just take down here. If the rook captures, then you have this nice intermediate move where you take on h2, bishop takes, and then the rook has to take on g2, which is completely winning. But anyways... looks like, in any case, firebatprime is looking very strong here. Rook captures, you can play something like h3, move the king up, and then after the take on a3, knight takes, move the king up. Yeah, there it is. Or you do this. Okay, this works too. And then you just push the pawn once more, rook comes across, capture. Firebatprime is still undefeated. So looking very, very strong in this game, and as I said, this is going to be a very interesting tournament. Like you got people in the top 10 who are 1700, and you have people who are 2000 rated or so, and they're much lower. So very interesting tournament to say the least. Okay, we got this game going on. Um, okay, and this is completely winning for black. Not much else to be said. Oh, but blunder, and now you have to take down here. But it's still going to be drawn, I think, maybe, unless you can find a way. Okay, it's just completely drawn. There might have been a way to draw previously. If I look, sorry, might have been a way to win. I was thinking in this position, maybe if we go to the analysis board, something like this after the take here, and instead of giving the bishop away earlier, and maybe you have some trick like this, in which after the pawn is pushed, you take down here, take that, and then you have this. So that actually might have been winning. If I go back and check, what happens if this take? Oh, okay, then I just completely missed a mate, I guess. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I just completely missed a mate. I was like, it can't be like this. But okay, Never Smart Enough is definitely coming back. The berserking certainly helps a ton. Let's see, is there any games just starting as of right now? Let's take a look in at this end game. Oh, okay, so it's just winning for Kotov. Okay, view tournament. Let's just peek in at Dragonissimo versus Never Smart Enough. No berserks this game. Point of this rook move is so that you don't have to recapture the bishop, come down here and capture everything else. Now the rook is attacking this knight. That's the idea. Obviously, yeah. Okay, so rook takes, maybe something like, yeah, okay, knight a3 basically. Take here. Now your rook is blocked off. You're probably gonna have to get your rook off of this pin eventually. Could get very annoying. Never Smart Enough, very low on time. Dragonissimo. Coming up. Okay, so that's actually a really interesting move, because now the knight basically attacks this piece. If this knight moves, then the rook is exposed. In this case, you're going to recapture with the knight. You don't want to mess up your pawn structure for no reason. Maybe something like this. Now you're threatening g5 followed by h5. So knight down here. And finally gets the rook off of this this pin. But is it too late? I'm trying to look for any... Yes, and then the knight intermediate, maybe? That's what I was looking at. I didn't have time to fully calculate. I think it works though. Oh no, it doesn't. But being okay, but Dragonissimo has plenty of time. You can even do something like this. Just leave 4 major pieces versus a pawn. You're completely winning. Or at least that's probably what I would do in fast time control. Okay, we do it this way. You're gonna have to move the rook, move the king, move the knight towards the action. Probably knight c4. Maybe knight... Yeah, okay. Knight promotion, you just gotta move your rook. Sorry, bishop promotion, you just move your rook. Knight promotion, you move your knight away. Then you sack the knight. Rook promotion, you're completely winning. King promotion, now you have this setup. So very well played. Knight promotion, just move your knight away, and then knight f3. Knight e5, knight f3. Okay, or this, and then you just play... You can play rook b4 or rook h1, you're completely fine. Firebatprime doesn't have the AGM norm anymore because of the average opponent being only 2021, but still really, really nice performance. 24-94, it's pretty amazing. Full 32 points. Playing Ohm right now. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is winning for black, I think. Oh wait, sorry, no. I definitely messed that up. Wait, take. Oh, okay, interesting. So maybe. Oh wait, that's one of black pieces. Why am I capturing a black piece with a black piece? Ah, that's funny. Okay, so maybe trying to. I don't know. Probably this just wins, or that. Yeah. So firebatprime wins again. So pretty incredible. And we're back up to 25-20 performance. Um, okay, we got the beginning of a game right here. Dragonissimo and firebatprime. This just looks to be a quick opening. Is my assumption. Probably you're taking with the rook here, recapturing the pawn, bringing the king over. Knight e2 eventually. There it is immediately. I actually really like this position for black. You got more major pieces. Your queen's on this long diagonal. Meanwhile, white's rook's sort of trapped in. It's not a terrible position, but also this pawn so far advanced. It's going to be a little tricky to sort of to stop this. You can never give away your king because you're going to have to recapture somewhere. And if you just give it away in a corner, then you promote king, and white's just left with a bunch of pawns. So. And black has plenty of room to develop. You can even like bring your knights side by side eventually. Move your king up. You got a rook. But the one thing I do see about this knight move is it does pin your queen to this straight. I heard a follow. Thank you for following, Kivi48. Sorry again if I butchered your name. Yeah. So. That's the only reason why I wouldn't be a huge fan of this knight move. Your queen was sort of preventing anything from coming over here anyways. If the king ever made this move, then you had, I don't know, several captures in a row to set up, or you just you force the king to move out of the way. You push your pawn, and by the time white has finished capturing your pieces, you're completely developed. Okay, knight recaptures. It would be interesting to see this right here because you actually can't push this pawn because, but I mean, if you do push this pawn, take there. All right, you give up that first. The problem for Dragonissimo is now that can't really get your rook off of this. Oh, there it is. That's beautiful. Knight take, rook take, rook take. So let's just go back to that. I just want to rewatch that. Sorry if this ended firebatprime streak. I think the trick here was if we go to analysis board and we go down to here, knight takes basically what Dragonissimo is expecting. So this just completely wins, first of all. But I think h5 also wins. Oh wow, that makes sense. Anyways, what firebatprime I'm guessing, just immediately was thinking, okay, I'm going to take on c7, because taking on f6 is completely fine. In fact, it's probably stronger for white, but firebatprime didn't really think about it too long, just sort of took here, and now you have this amazing setup, which again could have been done before, but again, it's also fast time control. So firebatprime still with the 2400 performance, playing against Ohm right now. Do we have any game that's just starting? That would be really nice. Let's take a look down here. Douthi versus Glau2DK. Kivi48, you are watching the champion of the board Challenger Arena. Basically, it's an anti-chess arena. The winner of this tournament will go to play a head-to-head match versus our current champion of the board, Pinni7, who is an anti-chess grandmaster. We do have several other anti-chess grandmasters in here. I am also an anti-chess grandmaster. But basically, the idea is the winner of this tournament will go on to play Pinni7. The winner between them and Pinni7 will be the new champion of the board. So basically, this tournament is to figure out who's going to be our next challenger. So yeah. Bishop sack. So the interesting thing is now is, and this is a big question, is because if you can get one of these pawns to not sack, then white's doing very, very well. you're gonna force black to promote in your end, and you've got several pieces. So yeah, moving the knight out of the way, obviously you don't want that to happen. But however, actually there would have been an interesting move here. If you kept the knight there, if you push this pawn, the knight takes, the pawn comes here, you move your bishop back, take, move the knight back. The only problem is then bishop promotion, and bishop promotion, I think, actually, if it doesn't draw, it actually wins, because of the overprotection over here. But we do find a way. Let's see what we did here. So after this, so we move the king to the side, and after that push of the pawn, bring it back here. And now we have a queen promotion. Very interesting. I'm guessing just king c2 forces you to capture here. Probably gonna move the knight. You don't want to have to recapture here. Oh, but then the problem is bishop comes down here. That's why that's so nice. So you move the king, queen captures here, and now you threaten both of these captures. You can't stop both of them. Or actually, in fact, you can with knight d5. Yes, there it is. And now your queen has to capture here, stops the bishop. Then gets confusing again. You don't have very much time. Yeah, move the knight out of the way is definitely the way to go at it. Now you got to move this pawn for sure, or you just undefend that pawn. And now you got to undefend this pawn. And what a beautiful endgame. Very well done. Oh no. Oh, because if it captures here, you had several pieces defended at the same time. What a wild endgame. Play something that. Oh wait, there's It's funny that I thought the same thing. And now you just move the bishop back here. Oh wow, that was wild. Oh my goodness, no. Even I blundered a million times there. Oh wow, what a fun game to watch. Almost pulled it off completely, but yeah, dropped it twice in the last couple moves. Yeah, that was very entertaining to watch, because it was like, wow, it actually happened. Saw knight d5, which was a really nice move to spot. That knight d5 move, not a lot of people would see that. And then getting all the way to the end, having mate in 1 or mate in 2 or mate in 3 or something like that, and then losing it. And so, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Joe Hughes or something of that fashion, playing the Miltani defense, which is actually what firebatprime will play from time to time, which is very fun to watch firebatprime play against one of firebatprime's most favorite openings. But okay, developing the knight. Both of these players are in the top 10 right now. Juyus has that's probably more like it. That looks French, like jeu, like jouer to play. But maybe I'm wrong. Berserk firebatprime not berserking back in this case, probably wanting to hold on to the lead. Okay, so c3, just protecting the bishop, and knight c6, which actually does look fairly nice. You're threatening a couple different sacrifices. This one probably more preferable eventually, because you want to open up white's pieces, but this queen here doesn't really allow it, because you probably don't want it. Okay, it happens anyways, and queen captures. That's nice. You're gonna threaten both of these captures at the same time. I would be willing to say that this capture, if it was white turned right now, is probably completely winning. This one, probably more trickily winning. Yeah, and Juyus just running out of time here. I'm about to sneeze. Oh man. Oh wow. Okay. We're good. Okay, and just running out of time. Maybe if there's an increment, there is still a chance there, but yeah, pretty tough. And firebatprime really doing well in this tournament. 40 points, almost double points. However, with 28 minutes left, you all know that anything can happen. in 20 minutes. We see Kotov and Dragonissimo both on massive streaks now. And Change Opening, or Flow, has also joined the tournament, so that could make for a couple of interesting games, maybe some interesting situations. Attacking the king here. Okay, and king back. You can't really do anything to force black to capture anything, even though this rook looks weird on this open file. It's actually very, very strong. I think the point of these moves is just to sort of stop white from being able to. It just sort of makes white run out of pieces very quickly. And if white only has a few pieces left, you don't have much to control, and if you don't have much to control, then you're pretty screwed in anti-chess. Okay, so you have to move the bishop back now, obviously. This could be a threat, or more accurately, a4 and then b5. And again, you always got to be aware of e4, because the problem after e4 is then rook gives up. And this move is actually safe now. Or is it? Because, yeah, it is, because the bishop will have to come and capture down here. However, there's no way the knight can give up, and if you ever try to push this pawn and think, okay, I'm going to get you to capture over here, you can just recapture with this pawn, you're completely fine. However, this knight move is actually really nice. Now you have this threat coming down. That might even just be winning now. Take with the bishop. Here, yeah. So a good game there. I don't know if that was actually winning from Dragonissimo that far back. Maybe it was. Maybe I was miscalculating. So an interesting endgame here. I'd actually really like to watch this. Never smart enough. With only 6 seconds left. Oh, okay, it just ends. Okay. But Ohm back on a streak with 26. Never smart enough with 26. So many people in the running. No amount of points is a safe lead at this point. Let's check in. We see our first Polish game, classical Polish. Depending on where this knight goes, this is the go for defense. This is what I always play. Queen captures, it forces you to move this pawn, recapture the king, and knight d2, which is also very nice. Sorry about this. There we go. A threat always in this is if you ever move the knight away, you're always going to be pressured with something like this. However, taking this pawn isn't always that good, because if you ever move the rook off of here, then this rook is going to have to capture this pawn. The rook or bishop will recapture, and if you ever try to push that pawn later, then your king going to be undefended, so the rook will just capture the king. You're take here, and then you're going to play something like, I don't know, like g3, and then after and then h3 becomes a threat in your position. Hello C Flower, if that's how you want me to pronounce it, or Sarang. Thank you for entering the chat. Okay, so probably wanting to get the king more into the game here. And black, although looks very busy, yeah, you don't feel like you have a ton of moves. Okay, so we don't see the push here. Just recapturing, just playing safe. Both these players 2200 level players. Again, black looks like black looks fairly developed and looks like pieces can move, but it doesn't, like, when you try to find a really strong move, it's pretty tough. I guess f6 solidifies. You can do this. But white just feels like it has way more motives. Yeah, you have the option to move your knights around. You can get your king into the game. Maybe you can push your pawn eventually. And now this move actually becomes really strong. Threatening this pawn after this bishop move, actually, and getting your pawns off of this rank. Because after the rook captures, you'll have to capture this piece. You can move your rook off the rank, and then after the capture, you just move it back, and then you got several captures to go. Okay, so that would have been an interesting capture, actually. Because after rook captures, knight captures, rook captures, then you're left with a bishop down there. Okay, in this case, you're still left with a bishop down there. This doesn't win because your piece is hanging down here. So in this case, the bishop getting trapped down here is actually completely fine. Probably before, when the bishop's here, you wanna play your rook here, give the rook, keep your king in the game, because now yeah, the rook's just a complete loose cannon. You're gonna have to move your rook up eventually, but just the resignation will be good enough. Okay, so Ohm making a comeback here, and so is Never Smart Enough. We're within 10 points now. Let's look at this brand new game, Ray Costa Berserks versus Change Opening. E3, E6. So we have the modern defense on the board. And then this is the main Watkins line. Queen takes, bishop recaptures here. And then we see Queen A5 or B6. I think B6 is considered the better of the two, but the Queen A5 race is always an interesting one. They're both probably pretty equally strong. Okay, and both sides losing the queen. I know both these players have played this line a very, very long time, so it's always fun to... queen races are always very confusing, but watching them play it with such precision is just even more entertaining. And it also makes it a lot harder for me to commentate, so... Okay, so just captures the rook. I think the idea here is you wanna leave black with this e-pawn, so maybe something like this, and by the time black is just left with this e-pawn here, or this 6th rank pawn, and then we'll eventually have to push it, and that's why you don't take the 6th rank pawns. Because if you end up here, then obviously after the pawn push you just move your queen. Hopefully you can sacrifice several pieces. So if we see that capture, that should be interesting. Taking over here, takes the queen, take... Okay, we capture down here. Rook captures, and now this is completely winning for white. Just move your queen, sack here, or you do that and give up the queen. So Flo takes the win there. And all right, so looking at this battle again, we're sort of starting to make a break, sort of in this section here. We have about 40 people in the tournament now. I'm just gonna put a little promotion here. The stream. Less you're playing though. Okay. Okay, so yeah, just a little self-promotion there. A little self-promotion never did any harm. Okay, so let's see here. Who haven't we seen? We haven't checked out too many of Calburn or Asvi, so we'll look at this. Looks like a Polish game, if I'm not incorrect. Yep, we see a classical Polish, but with D4 very early. And now moving the knight back, probably. Seems like or a knight back here, more of a gopher-ish line, soldier-ish line. Okay, and then you're gonna have to push the pawn, obviously, because that captures. And okay, there we go. Okay, and I actually really like this h5 move. Grabs some space. Maybe now you can develop, and you're letting white sacrifice, but it's not a big deal. White was going to sacrifice that piece anyways, but now you have room for something like knight h6. You have room, yeah, there it is. You have room for something like rook g8 if you really need to. Maybe you can move your king now. Bishop comes down here, forces the rook to come back. Okay, or just knight down here. You can take this pawn. It doesn't give white a lot of move doesn't give white a lot of room to move on this end. Okay, I like this move, developing the knight. You don't ever have you don't have to give up a piece here, obviously. Maybe h4 is an idea. But okay, we recaptured the rook. H4 probably isn't an idea anymore. The reason being is after white captures, there's no way you're going to stop that piece from going. However, white would have to get to move pieces a little bit, but now it just looks like. Okay, we see. Oh, that's actually a really nice intermediate. I'm going to want to play that one back. Very well played. Let's just for special effects watch this beautiful intermediate. Oh shoot, I'm not on an analysis board. Whoa. Bang. And then oh, that's just so nice. Alright, so back to the arena. I just had to get in that special effect there. So now we have 3 players above 30. Total of 5 players above 20, 1 player above 40. Take a look in. We haven't checked in on Ohm in a while, and Ohm's making a comeback right here. The sound effects made it better. Oh, of course. Oh shoot. I need to turn off notifications somehow. How do I do that? Oh, it's up here, right? Or I don't even know. I'll just forget it right now. Okay, I just missed the game. Ohm wins. But Ohm is making a comeback. Also a very nice performance of 2351. Firebatprime, originally 2500 performance, but with this long string of wins right here, down to 2272. Still incredibly respectable. Let's look in at Ohm again with Sequela, if I'm saying that right, or Sequela. And alright, we have, this sort of actually looks like a B6 line. Oh, it is a B6 line, no way. Oh, I like that. I was gonna say, like, this open rook, the king, the pawn structure right here. Oh, that's amazing. We have about 15 minutes left, so we're coming to the end of this. Oh, a very nice move here. You can't sacrifice any piece. I guess maybe that would have been nice a little bit, just pressures the knight, but then again, and if you ever get this knight away from e2, the queen's currently pinned right now, because you got h4, g captures, rook captures, queen captures, and then something as simple as f3 just completely wins. Your only captures the king. Okay, developing. Getting the queen off of this, I'm guessing Sequela saw that and wanted to move the knight, so just moves the queen there. And now you're setting it. You're bringing up some ideas. G4, I'm guessing the idea pin the bishop. But you always you have this idea right now of bishop a6. Give up the pawn, take, and then you're gonna take this knight, and then you're left with a bunch of really nice pieces. Your knight and queen still go after this, but in this position we have this attack right here. So knight moves back, actually, capture, recapture, and now this bishop feels very, very stuck. There's not a ton you can do with it, and you really want to be able to bring your rook over here if you have to. Okay, so you do want to get your rook out, but then again, you're very harshly pinned down here. Maybe you can set up something like this if you push the pawn, recaptures, whatever. But actually now knight e2, and we could see something of this fashion, or the bishop being pinned. We could see some of that action, but developing the king to f2 instead. Sequela running out of time. Ohm still with plenty. So it should be interesting. Bring the rook over here. Finally, now the knight can't develop because the rook's on this file. So just having to move the king back and forth. Okay, push the pawn. Just nice advance. Maybe now you can get your bishop off the diagonal eventually. Or maybe you push the f-pawn again, threaten the knight. A nice intermediate, and now you got this. But the problem is there any way to finish it? I'm guessing you're just going to have to push your c-pawn and similar ideas. Okay, so just moving the rook back and forth. Maybe that gains some time back. You probably just want to push your pawns at this point, yeah. Um, Moving the rook in here. I'm not a huge fan of it, but of course you're low on time, so you're just trying to get time back. But it just pins your rook to your pawn. You're probably going to want to move your rook somewhere a little bit nicer. It also would have threatened bishop promotion down here. Now we've got an interesting position right here. I wonder if king... No, definitely wasn't winning. Probably something like rook d4 would be nice right now, but moving the rook back again. Again, we see this pin. Yeah, push the pawn. That's probably what you want to do, and now you're threatening this, and that's what we were afraid of the whole time. Attacking the king directly, but just push the pawn, promoting. Oh, and there we go. There it is. So good game there. Ohm getting closer and closer. Never Smart Enough also getting closer and closer, and we finally see the unknown guy reborn entering the game, which is fun. And the unknown guy reborn berserking, also another AGM or Antichess Grandmaster, promotes rook. Just promote rook again, probably. Get your king into the action, and you're completely winning. Oh, sorry about the coughing. I haven't spoken this long in like a year. So yeah, Dragonissimo is pretty much done for here. Just waiting patiently. Okay, and resign. Back to the tournament. Firebatprime extends the lead a little longer. Will Firebatprime be able to hold on for the next 11 minutes and become our first challenger for champion of the board? Continue following along to see. Let's check in on Never Smart Enough and Kotov Syndrome. Kotov going for a queen race, as to be expected. Probably take the bishop king, or take this piece and come this way. Maybe that's smarter, yeah. This side, I'd say it's a little trickier. Maybe you take the bishop like this. Maybe go in some way. Problem is in this case, Kotov just has so many more options, and it's what he does so well. Then you can come in something like this, leave the third rank pawn. That's probably the way. Yeah, looks reasonable. And even if you come out of this unresolved, black doesn't have a king, probably is left with something like a rook or something. And white, oh yeah, white resigned? That's... Oh right, yeah, sorry. Oh wait, yeah, I don't know. I got confused myself there, but wow, my throat is sore. I need some water. Someone bring me some water. Let's take a look at this 1 versus 2 game. This could be a very important game. If Ohm wins this, gives Ohm a chance to get back in it. Okay, so this pawn threatens this knight, obviously. If this knight has to capture, then this queen opens up. Get some milk. And this knight move just, in my opinion, just makes it really confusing. And even if it's completely losing, it's very tricky to figure out what you're supposed to do. Because after this capture, you got this threat, and you've also got this idea. So, gotta be aware. Blues clues looking background. Very interested, but pretty confused about that comment. I'm trying to look around. I don't know. I got my Antichess North American Champion 2021, my AGM title on the wall. No biggie. That's funny, but okay. Ohm comes out of it, and now it looks very strong. However, both low in time. Anything can happen. Obviously, want to take the white king here. Okay, pushing the pawn. This knight's still pinned. That's something important to know. Um, and Ohm gives up all the pieces. However, okay, moving the king, probably pushing this pawn. You want to promote to another rook if possible. Oh, f6, that's interesting actually. I would not have expected that. I probably would have played f5, tried to push the pawn, make another rook, and win 2 rooks versus king endgame. Might even have an option of rook e8 here. Give up the pawn, give up the king, and you're completely winning. But I doubt we'd see a blunder like that, but you never know. Okay, so getting the rook out of harm's way. And knight promotion, very interesting. Finally f5. And now the rook's very trapped actually, which is very interesting. So giving up the rook first, and bishop promotion. We got a lot of fun promotions going on here. Maybe bring your knight closer to the action. Makes sense. Keeping this pawn on this file is very important. A lesson I learned from a great anti-chess master. Because if you have a light square bishop, obviously you need them to promote on a light square. But now bishop promotion, and there's there's actually nothing for white to do because this knight's going to be on a white square already. I don't know if I explained that well enough, but yeah. Anyways, Ohm making a very close comeback. We're down within 6 points now. It's going to be close right to the end. Never Smart Enough is also in it. Dragonissimo's on a streak. Kotov's on a streak. Flo's on a streak. Might be too late for Flo, however. But we will see. Okay, just give me one moment. Alrighty, I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. Alright, so moving this pawn. Rook captures, and now it forces the queen captures. You might have had a threat of that before, so you probably want to get rid of queen. And now the very interesting knight to e5. So captures down here, and now we're getting sort of an interesting knight race right here. Maybe that was the thought, because then you can't really continue the knight. You can't continue the capture of the knight in any way. Maybe that's a thought. So, but the problem is queen captures here, yeah, and then you could capture this pawn. And the problem is you capture an undefended piece, and then your very next piece you're going to have to capture is a defended piece, in which white will just capture back, and then the black bishop has to capture here. So in this case you just move the rook, like, I don't know, anywhere. There it is. Threaten this. Recapture. Yeah, knight f3 is the easiest way I see it. Or this works too. And there it is, back to view tournament. And we've got, wow, with 4 minutes left, this is going to be wild. I'm going to have to open up several games at the same time. Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to want to watch multiple games at the same time. Never Smart Enough's game, Ohm's game, firebatprime's new game. So let's take a look here. You're going to hear a lot of moves on the board because I got tabs open. But rook captures. So Flo low on time in this game. In this game, Ohm's incredibly low on time but needs the berserk points. Firebatprime looking like an early position here, so not too much going on there. Let's go back to this game. Ohm still with 4 seconds left, and Ohm has the white pieces. So this is crazy. I don't even know how to commentate this. Promotion to bishop. Ohm has not like lost any time here. Okay, I'm gonna close the other two tabs for now just because of how wild it's getting. Oh, and Ohm flags. Oh, that's too bad. But anyways, that's one game. Actually, I should have checked. And Never Smart Enough did win a game, so taking the lead after playing Flow. Let's check in on firebatprime's game, see if he can take back the lead. This is the first lead change since the very beginning of the tournament. We had Ohm winning, then firebatprime came in, and now Never Smart Enough takes it with 3 minutes to go. So firebatprime needs a win here for sure. Captures the queen, moves the king. You're gonna. Oh, but the problem with undefending this piece is now you got this. And now b5 takes rook off the file. Oh, but the rook off the file doesn't work because your knight's gonna recapture there. Wow, I'm gonna open the tournament in another tab just to look back and forth though. Never Smart Enough playing Dragonissimo. That could be an interesting game. Dragonissimo is all the way up to 43 points. So with a berserk win there, you tie for the title, and then what happens there? It's something that I don't even know because it's so unlikely. But I forget what the first tiebreaker is actually. So this game's actually a very important game right here. It's gonna have to end quickly too. There's only a minute and a half left. You literally cannot make up all of this. This is so wild. Sequela's down on time. Firebatprime moving the rook back and forth. Gonna have to move the knight off of this file. Take, recapture. And in this game we got a race, so it's gonna end quickly as well. Dragonissimo doesn't berserk though, and I think that's gonna hurt. I think that's gonna hurt Dragonissimo. Oh, and it looks like firebatprime's done. Yeah, so firebatprime does not win. Let's go back, view the tournament. Never Smart Enough's in the lead. Yeah, Dragonissimo need to berserk to have any chance, but did not berserk in this game. So that'll be fun to watch. So it appears unless firebatprime can win incredibly quickly, and Dragonissimo holds off Never Smart Enough for another 40 seconds, that could be incredibly wild. So rook captures, and again we'll see if the berserk would have made the difference in this game. But the problem for white here is there's just one capture, and you're gonna have to make two, and any two captures puts you on an undefended piece. So white looks like they're done anyways. Yeah. So it looks like your first challenger is going to be Never Smart Enough with the amazing comeback, the 2100 performance. Shout out to our I'll give a shout out to everyone in the top 10. 10th we had Flow, very few games, but a very nice performance of 23-26. Alex Stein, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Glau2DK coming in 8th. Everyone here above 24 points an hour. Ray Costa with 27, Sequela with 31, Kotov with 34, Ohm with 41, Dragonissimo with 43, firebatprime with 47, and Never Smart Enough with 52 here, who will be our champion and will play Pinni7 for the title next week. So stay tuned for that. Should be very exciting. I'll be streaming again. I'll post this on my YouTube as well. But anyways, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we see more of you joining the tournament as well next week. And otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching. Watch the YouTube channel, follow the IF, the website, join the team, www.antichess.org. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.